Welcome everybody to Modern Man in Search of High Scores. This is episode 2. I'm Lawrence Adams. Welcome to the Midlife Arcade. We are the Pinball Underground. Happy Ostara, everybody. Happy Easter. I hope you're having a wonderful Easter Sunday. That's when I'm recording this show. Took a little time out from the family just to record some thoughts, share them with y'all. There's a lot going on in the arcade these days. A lot of it was unexpected and just kind of happened all at once. So I'll go over a little bit of that. Why don't we just jump right in? But before we do, today we're going to be talking about James Bond. Stern's James Bond 007. And we're going to be covering what is good about the game, what is challenging and maybe not so good about the game, and then ultimately why I think it's a fantastic and great game, and why Gomez and team were basically flat out genius for doing it the way they did. But it takes some time to get into, so that's what we're gonna go over today. We need to talk about James Bond. What's happening here though? So a little game from 1994.
Who knows what evil lurks in the hearts of men?
By Bally Williams, by the name of The Shadow, arrived. And I cannot even begin to tell you how much I love this game. I actually remember this game from the arcades back in the day. And it's one of those things that I've always wanted a Bally in my collection. It's up there with several boyhood dreams of mine that I'd want. It's tied for me in terms of enjoyment with games like Totan or Bram Stoker's Dracula. I think that those three games are probably my absolute favorite. I know Attack from Mars and Medieval Madness get all the love, and rightfully so. Those games are awesome. In fact, Medieval Madness got me back into pinball in my adult era, so to speak. So The Shadow's here. I'm playing the crap out of it, and I love it. But then, surprisingly, the pinball community that I'm part of came through for me, and I currently have an Avengers Infinity Quest on loan. In that game, I mean, some people call it the worst Elwyn, and I don't know what is meant by that. It's like saying the worst Picasso, right? It's like it just doesn't make any sense to me. The game shoots amazing. It has an incredibly deep rule set. I think that's probably where people get turned off by it. It's not something you can just approach. Like it is, I'll admit it straight up. It is flat confusing when you first play it. But I'm a rules guy. I love getting super deep into rules and figuring out how you can make pinball relevant in a deep rule set. And Elwyn and team, I don't even need to say this, but obviously they have just done a fantastic job since the beginning. I think Avengers Infinity Quest gets overlooked more often than not, and it is a fantastic game. So more to come on that soon. Lots of streams, lots of deep dives into the rules. Can't wait to do that with y'all. And one more pin is still incoming. It's going to be here next weekend, and it is an absolute dream theme for me. If you were to put it on my Mount Rushmore, it's the number one slot, 100%. Jaws is tied for number 2 with maybe a couple things, but is literally right behind it. So I got very lucky when Jaws was released because it means that much to me as a title. But this incoming game, I'm still going to keep that one under my cap, and I can't wait to show it off and announce it. But yeah, I have a lot of new pinball to play, and it came out of nowhere. The Shadow was planned to an extent, but everything else fell out of the sky and into my lap, and I could not be happier. All right, let's get into news.
Good news, everyone!
Go through this kind of quickly. There's some big news, but you probably heard it everywhere. And there's some news that's basically just stalled. So let's start with the home arcade scene. Everything in the home arcade scene is at a standstill, awaiting tariff announcements and changes. That's just how it is. I don't care what side of the political fence you line up on. The reality is, we don't know if the games are coming. We don't know when they're coming. And if they do come, we have no idea what they're going to cost. So everything is basically just put on pause, for good or ill. Arcade 1-Up is the only one actually producing anything. They announced a Hello Kitty partnership of all fucking things, and are essentially releasing 2 redemption machines. I actually didn't deep dive on this. I saw the photos, and I believe that they were from the official site. So hopefully this hasn't been proven to be a bunch of codswallowed by them. But no, I think it's 100% true. It makes sense for them as a company because they need to keep their line moving. They need to keep releasing stuff. They need to show that they are making money to their parent company. But Hello Kitty redemption machines? I actually have a prediction that these are going to go big. Redemption machines make money in arcades. Kids love them. My youngest wanted the claw machine from Arcade One Up badly, and I just couldn't do it because if I'm going to get a redemption machine for him, I'm going to get a real one. And that's me. This is me, an avowed Arcade One Up fanboy. I love their products. I have 13 of them surrounding my pinball machines because of the footprint, man. There's a million ways to play these games. I want to play them in an arcade cabinet, but I don't want it to weigh 300 pounds. Anyways, all the arguments that have been said before. But anyways, that's what's going on with Arcade One Up. Basic Fun and Media One Up / Iconic Arcade. We're in wait and see. They all had big announcements planned, big things coming, and they don't know if it's going to cost us an arm and a leg by the time it gets here. So everything's put on pause. Media One Up and Iconic Arcade still have an approaching June release, but who knows what'll happen between here and now. I was really looking forward to getting my hands on that Alpha series, and I hope it's not going to cost me $1,300 or more just in tariffs, which are that value just evaporates the moment you purchase it. When it comes to pinball, man, we have had some incredible releases. Stern announced Elwyn's latest game, King Kong. If you haven't heard about this and you're hearing about it from me, you must live under a rock. King Kong looks fantastic. They're going with an original story. I think it's the book that they're basing it on, not any of the film King Kongs, which is kind of unfortunate. I was really hoping for the Toho. I'm not like that type of person. I don't really care what they end up doing as long as it's cool, but I don't really hold high hopes and I'm crushed when it doesn't happen. But I kind of thought they'd go with the Toho thing just because of Godzilla and how well that worked out, and also because it seems like a license that they can be happy to work with. Maybe Kong was just tied up with too many modern media licenses, so that they went with the public domain IP. Fine with me. The art looks fantastic. I love the nod back to the Data East almost released King Kong. So much I love about just looking at the table, but we'll get there. Yeah, I said table. Deal with it. It just happens. It's just part of the lexicon now. And then Barrels of Fun announced Dune, which, let me tell you something. I am a huge Dune fan. I love how everyone is talking about the films and whether or not they could even watch them. You guys know it was a book, right? It's actually a very long series of books. I'm very happy that they got the latest movies. I think the latest movies frickin' rock. They do an excellent job. They're like Lord of the Rings for adults. And I couldn't be happier. I actually had some hopes for this game, thinking maybe they would incorporate some of the Dune board game into it. Haven't seen any of that yet. If you haven't played the Dune board game, you guys should go play that. That game, I cannot say enough good about that game. That game is amazing. But Dune is out. I will probably be trying to buy it. This year, they're trying to kill me, man. They are trying to kill me. I'll probably try and buy a Dune on the used market later on. My wants outweigh my wallet. So that's the way it goes. Okay. Let's talk about Stern's James Bond. First, the one I have is the Dr. No, the Pro. So I won't be going over any of the bells and whistles. I'm really talking about core gameplay here, and whether or not it is a good game, and whether or not it is a good game for people of different levels. And I will tell you that this game for me began with a love-hate relationship. I got the game, I really liked how it shot, and I managed to put up over 1 billion on it in the first week that I owned it. And for me, I like hard games. I like games that take me time to at least, find a path to the end, and then allow me time to go back and find different paths to the end. What I realized, though, was that I was using a tournament-minded strategy. I've been playing a lot of tournaments lately, and the way you play in a tournament is not the way you play at home. And I love being able to play at home because that is how you really, truly experience a game. I also love playing in tournaments. It's another great way to experience a game, but it's different. The thing is, over time, I realized that this is a pin for everyone. Gomez has made games throughout many of the ages of pinball, from back in the arcade days when the entire purpose was taking your money, like on Shadow here. He didn't design Shadow, but Shadow is a brutal game designed to take your money. And Bond has that element to it. It is incredibly chaotic. The shots are satisfying to make when you can make them. But if you put this in an arcade and people are into playing James Bond, it's going to be an earner. I'm not sure what it actually ended up doing in arcades, but I see it in a lot of them, so I'm guessing that it at least does pretty well. But it is approachable for the complete novice. It's got satisfying shots. It's got 2 approachable multi-balls. You got a large bash toy that's fun to hit the center of the playfield, or upper left to center of the playfield. But it's got that you could walk up and play it and at least figure out what's going on to an extent very, very easily. It's also great for tournament play. And this is where I was having the most fun with it initially. There's easy to understand risk reward multipliers. It's got a middle of the road mini wizard mode to boost your score way up. In my opinion, if you put all that together, it would be a great enough game for arcade operators if the game just stopped there. If I was left unhappy with it, but it stopped there, it would still be a great game for arcade owners, like I was saying. The game's layout is pure chaos. The modes are rinse and repeat enough and so hard to progress through that they initially feel like an afterthought for players looking for deeper rule sets, but this is where it gets interesting. Once you've got the game humming, and once you've gotten through enough of the game to have a tournament score you can be happy with, you start asking yourself, well, then what now? Sure, there are the wizard modes, but you still need to want to play more of the game to want to see them, so where's the fun? And by fun here, I mean opportunities and options for in-game play that represent various strategies to get to the end of the final, get to the final wizard mode. Now, when you first start playing, you're going to learn. You got to keep those multi-balls going. There are 2 multi-balls, and you can always be building towards them. And you understand that you get a sense of safety and benefits from stacking the multi-balls with your modes. And you also realize that this is a great way to light up as much of the machine at once as possible, because that will keep lighting your bondwomen multipliers. So the game has an answer to this for players. The game starts to interrupt you more. Spectre weapons and Q branch modes begin to have plenty of lined up qualification, meaning that anytime you hit the Goldfinger target, or the DB5 eject, they begin to become either points of contention or moments of incredible benefit, depending on what you need and how zoned in you are to accomplishing a particular goal. It can interrupt you or it can help you. Since the game's chaos makes it almost impossible to strategically choose which modes you're going to see, you're not going to have time and ability. I'm sure some people do, but most players out there are not going to have time and ability to switch through which Spectre weapon or which Q branch mode is going to come up. But the thing is, once you start stacking those multi-balls and you put all this together, you become invested. Because you're not going to get through my point is, you're not going to get through the modes with one ball and just trying to clear those shots. It's not going to happen. They're too hard. And just look at the layout. The left in lane is a joke. The ball almost never flows through the left in lane. I mean, it does it a fair percentage of the time, but most of the time, the moment it hits those rubbers at the top of it, it's either headed for the out lane, which means you got to nudge like, and then you got to nudge like hell, or it pops over and lands on your flipper. And where the ball is in your flippers down in James Bond is pure chaos. The ball is never going to rest. It's always going to do a bunch. The dead bounces are even chaotic. But the thing is, when you figure that out and you start to get to that point of the game where you've cleared up some stuff and you think, okay, I'm at a good point, but I can still do some stuff. It's always about stacking those multi-balls, getting your multipliers, and trying now to complete as much of the modes as possible so you can get to the end. But at this point, you are invested. At least I am. I want to see the rest of it. I want to know what it's like to get to Her Majesty's Secret Service. And at this point, I'm actually even more aware that there is more to the game I haven't even seen or put into my strategy. For example, the completion of Spectre targets for the Bird 1 jackpots, for example. The beginning of playing James Bond was extremely fun, but quickly ran off the rails and began feeling like Stockholm Syndrome. I would be called to it once or twice a week, then blow it up to $1 billion and walk away, which for a $7,000 toy doesn't really do the job or make the nut for me. But I began, after thinking about what was good about the game and what I believe Gomez and team were trying to accomplish in this game and rule set, to know that there was more to it than I was giving credit for. And thank Moneypenny I found it. I want to thank everybody for taking the time to listen to this podcast. I have a lot of ideas for things down the pipe. I wanted to make it short today because it is Easter, and I do have some little ones waiting on me. Actually, they're not so little anymore. They're getting older, but you always think of your kids as little, don't you? Next time on the program, we'll probably be talking about Shadow and the new mystery game that is about to arrive. I am really hopeful that we hear something about Predator. When Pinball Brothers started making the Ripley editions of Aliens, I kind of bought in. I would imagine at some point I'll own one, but Evil Dead's too high on my list right now. And then Dune, of course, is a monkey wrench, so we'll see. But if Predator comes out, I mean, does anybody not think that's an amazing pin? I just want to see what they're going to do with it. Will Predator eat ball? That's a good question for everybody. Man, there's so much cool you could do with that. I'm just thinking about the 3-pointed laser reticule that he uses, right? I mean, you could if you could pull that off somehow. Wow. Anyways, I want to hear your thoughts too. midlifearcade@gmail.com. Feel free to drop me a line, drop me a question. I will look at my email every show and before every show and make sure that if you have any questions for me, I can answer them. I don't consider myself an authority in any single way. I'm actually learning. It was interesting when the Shadow showed up. Remember, it's from 1994. One of the armature specifically for the VUC that pops the ball up to the upper playfield, broke. It's half plastic and half metal, and it broke. So I had to order a new one. But the part that was supposed to be for it is discontinued. So I had to use a part that was unconfirmed. And I'm happy to say that it is completely confirmed. So if anyone has problems like that, feel free to reach out and ask me. I'm always working on my pins, and I'm learning as I go, and questions only help me learn more. So if we can help each other, that'd be great. This has been Lawrence Adams for the Midlife Arcade, saying happy Ostara, happy Easter, may all your scores be high, and all your balls be extra. I'll see you next time.